Howdy folks, and welcome back. As you all know, I'm trying to platinum all the games in the mainline Assassin's Creed series, having already completed a good amount of them. Today, we're going to be obtaining the platinum for AC Unity. This is the last AC game that has sync requirements for missions, thank God. I mean, unless Shadows brings them back, but look, fingers crossed. Releasing in 2014, this game takes place during the French Revolution, which is not only an incredibly interesting time in history, but also a fantastic setting for an Assassin's Creed game. What also makes this game extra intriguing from a story perspective is that the Brotherhood is fully involved in Paris. You're not having to rebuild the Order or anything like that, but instead you're getting to see what the internal politics of a fully realized Brotherhood looks like and all the pitfalls that come with it. Unity also has the dreaded multiplayer trophies, and though a majority of them can be completed solo, we'll save that conversation for when we get there. There are a total of 51 trophies, including the platinum up for grabs, so let's throw that number up here on the board and begin. So interestingly enough, the game doesn't actually start with you playing as Arno Dorian, who's our main protagonist. Rather, we begin in 14th century France in the Templar Order, currently run by Grandmaster Jacques de Molay. This begins with the Order having been betrayed, overrun, and ultimately destroyed. You play as a Templar who hides a special book and a piece of Eden's sword, or that looks like a sword. These will actually be useful later on in the story, but not right now. The scene ends with Grandmaster de Molay and the rest of the Templar Order being burned at the stake. Now, fun fact about this is a real event that occurred in 1312 when the Knights Templar, run by a certain James de Molay, though that may have been an anglicized variation of his first name, so it very much could have been Jacques de Molay, was dissolved at the behest of the French king. So the Pope dissolved it because the French king, Philip the Fair, went, hey, could you get rid of that? And then he also burned them at the stake, as you see here. So, fun little history lesson right there. Anyways, at the end of the scene, we are also awarded our first trophy, prologue, for finishing the prologue. We are now officially on the board.
If Abstergo pings us, pull me out.
With the death of the Templar Order, we now find ourselves playing a young Arno. Credits to the YouTuber Generic Gaming, as for whatever reason, I, most likely honestly, forgot to record this intro. This location should also look very familiar to those of you who have seen or played AC Rogue. Or have actually just been to the Palace of Versailles, but that's a different argument. Here, we're introduced to Elise, Arno's later love interest, as well as the actual stealth tutorial. The scene ends with us finding Arno's father killed by Shay. Because of this, Arno is then adopted by Elise's father, Francois de la Serre. What's interesting is that I know Rogue came out after Unity, especially Rogue's production started after Unity, but I would be fascinated to know lore-wise if de la Serre actually knew that Arno's father was targeted or not. Because if he did and then adopted Arno as his pseudo-son, that's wild. We continue years later as a more grown-up Arno under the care of de la Serre, though continuing to be none wiser to the assassins than the Templars. The game continues in Versailles with a few story missions, the current one being the second most important one, and that is where Arno needs to go and find de la Serre to give him some note that someone gave him. We have no idea what the note says. Well, Arno is unable to give him the note, and so in the end what he will do is he slips the note under de la Serre's study. Something you should probably be aware of is that Unity has a painful collectathon that I had no idea how mind-numbing it was going to be until I actually got to it. This actually begins in Versailles with the achievement, ransacking Versailles for collecting all the collectibles in only Versailles. The story continues at a party in the Palace of Versailles that Arno was seemingly not invited to, but he knows that Elise is present. So he steals a nice suit, actually it being de la Serre's, and finds the fence, hops it, to find himself inside the palace looking for her. This first section, again, is just showing you kind of stealth mechanics and is on, of course, the outside of the palace. So what's the inside look like? As you can imagine, for France at this point, it's stupid stupid levels fancy. As the ball or party continues, we find Elise, who apparently we're in a secret relationship with. Maybe, sort of. I'm not gonna question it, but also, weren't they raised together?
Oh, you were
I'm leaving that out there. It's just a little weird. I don't know. In any case, the guards come looking for us, and we are shooed out of the room very quickly. Well, as we're escaping the room, we come across a rather interesting sight. A man collapsed on the ground. Looking at him, dude just looks a little bit drunk. Oh, he did. There's just blood everywhere, and to make matters worse, it's De La Serre, our adopted papa. That's when a man called Sever calls out to the guards that there's been a murder. The guards, obviously not understanding the difference between concern for a dead parent and a murderous intent, immediately knocks us out and arrests Arno on the spot. This then leads us into our next achievement, Youth in Versailles, for completing Sequence 1. Arno wakes up in the Bastille in Paris, and after this old man here takes our pocket watch, we are introduced to the combat tutorial of the game. Also, it's absolutely hilarious that he calls Arno Piss Pot. Of all things to come out of this game, Piss Pot was not on my bingo card. And yes, I just really wanted to say Piss Pot again. After thrashing the old man, we tell him to go back to his crazy paintings, which, unbeknownst to us, can only be seen via Eagle Vision. The ornery geezer realizes we have the sight, then starts to train Arno in prison in both combat and explaining the fight against the Templars. Soon it'll be time to split from this absolute hellhole of a prison.
76, 77, December as I recall, no witnesses.
How did you...
Your father was an assassin, Arno. He gave his life, fighting for the liberty of all mankind. You stick with me, you might just live long enough to join the Brotherhood. Honor your father's memory.
That breakout is now. A couple months later, the old man, whose name is Pierre Belec, helps us break out of the Bastille in the notoriously real event known as the Storming of the Bastille, in which many workers and revolutionaries stormed the prison in an attempt to secure said prison arms and gunpowder. A storming that worked out in the revolutionaries' favor when they actually succeeded in occupying the fort. In that ensuing chaos, though, Arno and Belec escape, diving off the roof of the Bastille, but not before Belec gave Arno a small medallion to be used to fight the Brotherhood. You know, should he actually care to join it. This then leads us back to Versailles, where Arno enters the house of De La Serre, only to see the business end of Elise's pistol, and an Elise who is not too happy to see him.
One can't be too careful.
Arno tries to explain what occurred and is about to go into the whole Templar, assassin, thing, when Elise cuts him off, stating she is very aware. She is aware that he, Arno, is from the Assassins, and she is from the Templars. The party that Arno had snuck into was actually an initiation event for Elise. A fun fact, if you actually go back, you can see several of your future targets in that exact area. Elise, to an extent, blames Arno for her father's death, as the letter that he chose to just slip under the door was actually a warning stating that someone was coming for his life. Now, alright, here's the thing. In my opinion, yes, I totally understand the anger, but, Arno had no idea about the Templars and Assassins. You do know that. To him, the message was probably just some communique about business or politics. Truly, how was he supposed to know it dealt with life and death? It's not like he opened it. I don't know. Anyways, I get it. I've just always felt like that scene with Elise was super hard on Arno, but at the same time, her dad's dead. So, yeah. Anyways, she basically kicks out Arno, and he finds himself back in Paris.
May the Father of Understanding guide you, L.
I found that on the floor of my father's room. A no pin.
I didn't know.
Neither did my father.
How could I have known?
Just go. Please.
We then find ourselves at the basilica where the pendant Belec pointed us towards. Inside said basilica, or church, Honestly, I'm not actually sure. I'm gonna go with church, and I'll just be corrected if I'm wrong. We find the entrance to the Assassin Brotherhood. A real, true, fully grown Assassin Brotherhood. That's a weird way to say that. Here, we are brought before the might of the council, who ask us a couple questions about, do we really want to join the Brotherhood, and do we believe in what they believe in, and really we just want to, help kill whoever killed De La Serre, but we're not going to say that. Anyways, they also speak in a language that I couldn't identify. It feels like an Arabic dialect, but again, if I'm wrong, I'll just be corrected. The council tells us that if we wish to join, we are to drink from a chalice that just sends us into a drug-induced dream state because, that's the way that you find yourself, I guess. Don't do drugs, kids. Drugs are bad. In this state, we go through our past and something reborn, blah, blah, blah. Just give me that hidden blade. I want to get a little stabby. Sorry. Anyways. Oh, and once we get the robes and blade, we are also rewarded with the trophy Rebirth for finishing Sequence 2. The game is now fully and officially opened up to us, and Paris is our oyster. There are a lot of trophies to obtain, so let's get started. Your main base of operations is the Café Théâtre, or theater? The Café Theater. I don't know French, I'm sorry guys. And there are a few trophies tied to this location, but we'll get to them when we get there. The first, though, a room with a view, is obtained for simply hanging out on the balcony of Arno's room. There are several different side missions that need to be done for trophies. Some of them are absolutely mandatory, like the Enigmas, while others are just flat-out optional. For our next trophy, Hand of Justice, this sort of falls in the middle ground. There are many murder mysteries to solve throughout Paris, but for trophy purposes, you simply just need to complete one. The mystery I chose to solve is the first one that becomes available to you. It's the murder of a few priests. The implementation of these missions is actually pretty cool, wherein you have to find clues, talk with witnesses, and sort of just piece everything together and what most likely occurred. You'll then choose of the many individuals whom to accuse of said murder. You get the most rewards if you're right the first time, and you slowly lose rewards as you keep getting the wrong answer. Well, I was lucky and actually figured out who it was the first time. It was one of the priests who killed all the other priests. Shocking surprise! Well, upon completion of our very first murder mystery, and the last one that I do, we obtain Hand of Justice. The trophy Help Me is relatively straightforward. You just gotta complete 10 crowd events, be it killing some thugs or stopping a thief. These appear semi-frequently, so getting your 10 will be super easy, unless you actively don't do them. And, I don't know, you just won't get the trophy, I guess. Throughout Paris, you're going to find broken down social clubs. There are 2 trophies tied to these. The first one, and the one that we're going to obtain right now, is networking for renovating our very first social club. We'll talk about the other trophy later down the line. Just make sure you have a lot of money on you, because things gonna get expensive. Alrighty, back to the main story and the trophy therein. Something to note about Assassin's Creed Unity is the story is incredibly short. Or at least it felt short in comparison to the other AC games. I feel like I absolutely whipped my way through. Anyways, we're currently looking for the individual who killed De La Serre. This is a man known as Sivert, a curmudgeonly old fool who I will absolutely enjoy sticking a blade in. But you know what's annoying, and I am truly so glad I'll be done with soon? Full synchronization stuff. While sometimes they're okay and cool, it always felt like just an unnecessary added bit of just challenge to a mission that didn't really need it. Anyway, enough complaining. So, after a very long time of waiting around, we finally get the kill on Sivert and suck out his memories. Don't know how it happens, but it does. These memories point us in the direction of an individual named Latouche and the King of Beggars, who was the actual individual to have landed the killing blow on De La Serre, not Sivert.
Well, what's so important you had to pull me away from my daughters?
You all right, monsieur? Too much of the king's champagne?
Sivert, come away!
With Sivert's death and us escaping, something strange happens to the Animus. It appears that Abstergo is running some sort of search on their Helix network. So now we gotta bail servers. This mechanic pops up a few more times, but there are a few trophies tied to this weird little mechanic, but we'll get into that here in a moment. First, though, we haul ass through Breaking Simulation, and we reach the end portal, receiving the trophy First Blood for completing Sequence 3. Let's talk about those simulation missions. These missions require you to collect a bunch of Helix nodes across the map, and then free the trapped assassin. You then have the option to get more for an extra reward. There are 3 maps in total, but each map unlocks at a specific point in the story. The first trophy received is Needs More Data for getting the extra data reward 3 times. This is super easy, and you can actually just do this on the same map 3 times. Full disclosure, I have no idea how I got this trophy because I'm 100% sure there was nobody underneath me, but, you know, gift trophies and all that. Guillotine is awarded when you kill an enemy using a lift, which I apparently did. Staying in the simulation, the next trophy, Thawed, is for freeing 10 trapped assassins. This means just doing the same mission 10 times. You do not, I repeat, you do not have to do different missions. One of the things I've always loved about the older Assassin's Creed games are the legendary outfits that you have to unlock by doing a certain thing, or collecting a certain accoutrement. Honestly, I don't remember them existing in the newer Assassin's Creed games, specifically Odyssey, Origins, and Valhalla, but I might be wrong on that. Well, Unity has a special outfit that you get for completing all 18 Enigma puzzles, of which there's a trophy tied to it. Now, these Enigma puzzles, suck. God, I hate them. They're like the worst thing added to this game.
Tell me about this seal.
So, there's supposed to be these puzzles based around landmarks in Paris, but they aren't always the best, and my geography of Paris is incredibly poor. So I just used a guide, and I recommend you do the same so you aren't pulling your hair out. Well, the first Enigma puzzle is relatively straightforward, and upon its completion, we are awarded with the Accurate Prediction Trophy. Alrighty folks, we got a solid 2-for-1 deal for you. The first trophy we get is Safe and Sound. Now, remember those social clubs from before? Well, each renovated social club also has 3 missions that come with it once it's renovated. Well, completing all 3 missions of one of those clubs rewards Safe and Sound. A later trophy is awarded for completing all of them. And the follow-up trophy is Poked for killing 20 enemies with long weapons. Business and Pleasure is another incredibly easy trophy. You'll get this simply by accruing 50,000 livres. You don't need it all at once, mind you. It's an over time thing. Increasing how much you make passively in the cafe is going to make this the quickest way possible to get this trophy. It wouldn't be an Assassin's Creed game without some form of trophy regarding assassinations. Well, you're in luck. Blade in the Crowd is awarded for assassinating 100 enemies. Much like Poked, Chopped is another weapon-based trophy. It's obtained not by winning a food contest, but by killing 20 enemies with a heavy weapon. Fallen from the Sky, another super easy trophy. All you gotta do is air assassinate 10 enemies, and then bing bang boom, the trophy is... I didn't know how to end that rhyme. I don't know, it's yours. So now we're on our way to kill the King of Beggars, and we are able to find him in this large sewer-like cistern area. This is where the King of Beggars lies, and where we are going to permanently snuff him out. Upon doing so, we give his memories the old slurp slurp, and see him and Sivert talking to a Templar Grandmaster that is very much not de la Serre. So now we know who our new target is, although we have no idea whom that person might be.
You may go.
The intrigues of rats! Pompous fool, if I could lay my hands on him.
My master would be pleased to arrange that. Brother.
We also find on his body an interesting silver item, this same item that was used to kill de la Serre. We then return to our contact, the Marquis de Sable. Marquis de Sade, I don't know, someone will correct me, who first told us where the actual Beggar King was. He also finally, after a rather long and protracted conversation about men's desire to question and philosophy and blah blah blah, the silver item found on the King of Beggars was made by a certain silversmith, Francois Thomas Germain. And that was terrible pronunciation. It's just going to continue, I'm sorry. What his connection to the Templars is, we're currently unsure about, but what I do know as a certainty is that we are awarded with our next trophy, oh god, Le Cour de Miracles, Jesus. I'm sorry, for completing sequence 4. Master Architect is a rather easy, albeit expensive, trophy. In total, you're going to need 21,350 livres to fully upgrade the Café Théâtre. Doing so will award you that sweet trophy. I was weirdly worried about this trophy, but it's actually really easy to get, because there are bells absolutely everywhere in Paris. The bells are awarded when you sabotage 5 alarm bells in Paris. Much like the bells, I was concerned the lockpicking of doors would also be a difficult trophy. It was not, especially once you realize how many locked doors there are when it comes to getting all the chests in the game. But that being the case, Must Have Left It Open is awarded for picking 5 locked doors. We're now on to sequence 5. We had actually met up with Germain previously, who we freed from the Templars' control, and he stated that he was commissioned by a man named Lefrenier, and based on Arnaud's memory-sucking abilities, it seems like this is the man most likely to have been the Grand Master who was trying to usurp de la Serre. Now, here's where things get a little strange. We go to where Lefrenier is, and where we expect him to be, and kill him, obviously, because we're good at that sort of thing. But in his death memories, we actually see him having penned the warning letter to de la Serre. So that's a little strange. I mean, it's still a Templar who was killed, so yay, but possibly wrong target? What we do know is that we have to now head to a specific hotel location to listen in on a Templar plot, and, more importantly, we receive the trophy Root of Evil for completing sequence 5. We love our viewpoints, and don't worry, my fine, and dare I say dashingly good-looking viewers, there is a wonderful trophy, Panoramic View, for synchronizing with all viewpoints. Sequence 6 is rather interesting, as we are reintroduced to Elise and her part to play in this story. See, we had gone to the secret Templar meeting and realized that they're going to be making an attempt on her life. We catch up to her first and help with a rescue, only to find ourselves caught in a hedge maze. As per the rules of physics, which we all know, and definitely me, even though I failed physics, Arnaud can jump from high stories into a mountain of hay and survive. But the ability to climb a hedge is certifiably impossible. This is proven by physics, folks. Alright? So we actually finally do escape and tell Elise to meet us. Arnaud tells her to meet him at the Café Théâtre. Still not going to get that right for a conversation. She agrees, and we receive the trophy Secret Meeting for completing sequence 6. We're now officially halfway through the story. Things are now getting quite spicy. The Brotherhood sort of agrees to help Elise find the Templar traitor responsible for her father's murder, though many seem to be against it. Mirabeau, the head of the Brotherhood, is willing to assist, as prior to de la Serre's death, they had a tenuous, albeit respected truce in place. During this time, Arnaud also tells Elise about Germain, the silversmith, and she makes it very well known he was a Templar, kicked out for his radical views regarding none other than the ex-Grand Master of Antiquity, Jacques de Molay. This is where things are getting sticky. See, we meet up with Elise at Mirabeau's residency to inform him about Germain being the one to have killed her father, and him now being the Grand Master of the Templar Order. Here's the only problem. When we arrive, we find Elise standing over Mirabeau's very much dead body. So the man was poisoned, and it was made to look very much like a Templar did it. To a lesser mind, that would of course be Elise. Who else would have had such ready access to Mirabeau from the Order? But see, I am not a lesser mind. I am of average intelligence, and I recognize that it couldn't be Elise. This absolutely reeks of a setup. The biggest clue, and the thing that'll help us catch our culprit, was the poison used to kill Mirabeau. Aconite, which, yes, by the way, I did do research on because I'd never heard of it before, is also known as wolf's bane, which, according to Elise, is a favored poison of the Templar Order. It also just so happens to be a rather rare and difficult medicine in the dosages needed to kill, so finding who did this should be relatively easy. After hunting down a few leads and scaring the bejesus out of a shady pharmacist, we find ourselves on the trail of whomever ordered the poison. The trail leads us to the original church where we first joined the Brotherhood. Ah, symbolism. A fantastic tool for storytelling. Upon arriving, Arno pulls the old, "No, I must do this alone." I mean, okay, yeah, I get it, sure. But this is also the same individual who just poisoned and killed the leader of the Brotherhood.
I have to do
I'm
this
all
myself.
for honor dueling and such, but like, dude, y'all literally work in the shadows. Maybe having a second person isn't the worst thing in the world? I don't know. Elise also pulls the "you better come back to me" card, which is nice. We're getting a little Romeo and Juliet, two houses divided thing, minus the fact it's two groups who have hated each other since time immemorial. And who's at the end of this death trail? None other than our old mentor, Belek. He gives a mildly convincing spiel about how the Brotherhood isn't meant to be working in revolutions and politics. But also like, dude, that's sort of kind of exactly what we do. He even brings up the American colonies, which itself was a whole damn revolution as well. You know, the American Revolution, dude, because it already happened at this point. Anyway. He also talks of treason, but then kills the head of his organization, so...
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Ah, the old Luke, I am your father. We can overthrow the Emperor. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, dude, we're gonna kill you now.
You know I can't do that.
After an incredibly fierce fight with Belek, we do, in the end, best him and kill him, where we are then rewarded to his memories, seeing him fighting alongside our father, calling him Pisspot, as well as seeing him kill Mirabeau. The death of a master assassin is rarely a peaceful death, and sadly, Belek joins the ranks of those who have died bloody. But on the bright side, we do get our next trophy, mystery solved, for completing sequence 7, after a quick server hop, of course. With that internal squabble complete, the story is really starting to pick up. We know that Germain is the head of the Templar Order now, or at least he is in Paris, and is pulling the strings within the revolution, so to kill Germain, we need to start cutting off his supplies. Now, the first to go is a man named Roy. Roy? Again, not French. I'm sorry, you can correct me in the comments, please. Who is a captain in the Revolutionary Army, who also has a distinct desire for violence. His death does 3 things for us. 1, loosens Germain's control of the Revolutionary Army. 2, gives us our next target, Marie. And 3, awards us the trophy Bloody Trail for completing Sequence 8. Sequence 9 gets interesting as we continue to cut through Germain's people. The next on the hit list is a woman named Marie. She's been slowly starving Paris by rerouting grain and bread away from the city. The idea being that so long as you starve the citizenry, they will start to revolt harder. And I mean, guys, they aren't wrong. If you study history at all, you know that ain't wrong. The best way to get someone to riot is cut off their ability to eat. But look, enough statecraft, let's talk about death. Marie dies by our hand, and in the soup of her memories, we come across our next target. The sequence isn't quite over yet, though. Killing the captain of the army is one thing, but killing a pseudo-noblewoman, because remember, there can be no nobles in the revolution, only citizens, is a whole nother problem. We find Elise running away from some Templars, and together, after a long chase and running on buildings, we take a hot air balloon ride together where the two share their affection for one another. The sequence ends with Arno waking up in said air balloon and awarding us the trophy Road to Starvation for the completion of Sequence 9. Before continuing with the story, I wanted to get one of the more painful grinds out of the way now, that being the Enigma pieces and unlocking the special armor. Getting the 18 shards is a massive pain, and as I said before, just use a guide. You'll thank me later, I promise. Well, getting all 18 shards isn't actually the end of it. You then have to go through 4 different puzzle rooms to actually unlock the armor. Each room can be done once you've collected a certain amount of shards, or you can just wait till you have all 18 and then do them all at once, like I did. Upon completion and unlocking of the armor, you'll receive the trophy from the past and unlock some sick new digs. That's what the kids are saying now, right? Our next trophy, Gentleman Cambrioleur, or however it's pronounced. And if you're going for the platinum, you're going to get this trophy naturally. This is awarded for lockpicking 20 chests. Alrighty folks, time for Sequence 10. Time for Sequence 10. Probably one of the longer ones in the game. So our next target is a politician called Le Pelletier, and he can be found at a party with other statesmen. You know, look, I'm starting to get the feeling that while everyone in Paris and France are citizens, some are just more citizen-y than others. You know? Okay, well, anyway. We find the man having a lovely drink of French wine when we stab him and let his French wine cover the carpet. Inside his memories, we see him casting the final vote for the execution of King Louis XVI, which will end the Bourbon dynasty. We also learn that we are going to be able to find Germain, and he's going to be ringside to the king's execution. So we got our next plan of action.
I shall very much look forward to witnessing the end of tyranny.
I'll see to it you have the finest view.
The execution is now. We know where the king's going to be, and we know where Germain will be, somewhere nearby. It's important to recognize at this point, Arno has been killing without the consent of the council. This is admittedly a big no-no, as they are to work in the shadows and be smart about who they're killing. But at the same time, it's not like Arno's just wantonly killing. The targets that he's been offing are high-profile Templars, which is sort of kind of the enemy. Maybe Belek had a point? Who knows? Well, in any case, it's time to find where Germain is and put an end to whatever plan he is doing. Well, we found Germain, and he was waiting for us. Because, of course he was. They are always waiting for us. He goes on a long tirade about how people are afraid of symbols, but in time that fear subsides, and so on and so forth. He then states that the only way to control people is through money, which... yeah, no real argument for me on that one. He then tells his entourage to kill us. Elise shows up to help thin the herd a bit and shouts at us to go after Germain, but Arno, being the upstanding gentleman that he is, chooses to stay and fight so as to save Elise from what probably would have been certain death.
I'm not leaving you here to die.
And so the chase is on to catch up to Germain's carriage. And we do actually end up finding said carriage, but no Germain. Elise, in frustration, turns on Arno, telling him he has no right to worry about her when he could have gone and killed Germain. She thought he was also, on this revenge murder train, to which Arno retorts that, yes, but he would prefer her alive than him dead. She responds in kind with a, "K, well, get the fuck out, because I would rather die and have him dead than the other way around." Rude, but honestly, as someone who's never wanted revenge that badly, what the hell would I know?
Arno
We aren't quite done yet, as we have to finally report all of this to the council, and they do not take it well. In short, they are pissed that Arno has been just flaunting the rules and taking matters into his own hands.
The decision of
So
this
much
council
so
is
that they actually
final.
straight up expel him from the
They give you
Brotherhood.
leave to go.
We try to make them see reason, but it's a no-go. The decision is final. Weirdly though, we aren't actually stripped of our weapon, but with loss comes victory, as we receive the trophy Love and Duty for completing Sequence 10. Cut back to Versailles, where we find Arno very hungover from a night on the town, and missing his pocket watch. So, through a fun turn of events and trying to remember what happened through hangover visions, which, if you've ever tried to do that, it don't work too well, we find ourselves back in the Palace of Versailles, as this is where the dude who took the watch is currently hiding out. As we reach the end of the palace, I find our target and decide to deal with it the way I deal with all of my problems, by simply not dealing with it. Although in this case I sort of do, as I use a few berserk darts and, well, they just all up and kill each other. Nothing like a little old chemical warfare to help get the job done. While scrounging around for the watch, which we can't find, Elise pops back up holding said watch. The two have a mildly melancholic discussion about what occurred back in Paris, and Elise states that Germain has made the revolution even bloodier and that the guillotines are running basically 24/7. Arno seems reluctant to go, but quickly changes his mind, though he does state that there is one thing that he has to do before he leaves for Paris.
There's one last thing I need to do.
All right. I'll go see to our transportation. Stay out of trouble. Don't get caught.
And what, pray tell, is that last thing that must be done? Well, Latouche, the slippery bastard, has found his way to Versailles and is basically acting as a mini tyrant, siphoning tax revenue back to Germain. So, he gon' die. As we make our way through the crowd surrounding the guillotine, we were able to infiltrate where they are holding the prisoners for execution. This will allow us to get nice and close to Latouche. As we walk up the steps, I'm pretty sure Latouche notices who we are, but just a bit too late as we give him the old Masyaf special. Sifting through his memories, we find he used to be a banker who was ousted after finding corruption. Pretty rough. But then he joined up with the Templars, so... Finally, we see that none other than Maximilien Robespierre, the head of the revolution, is in with the Templars. New target acquired. But it's been a hot second since we got a trophy, so we also need to hop servers one more time. And we are awarded with the Down But Not Out trophy for completing Sequence 11. Only one more Sequence trophy left. We've been doing a bit of story progression, so before we finish that up, let's wrap up a few trophies as well. As you know, Unity has a multiplayer feature, and with multiplayer features comes the dreaded multiplayer trophies. My favorite. Well, thankfully, a majority of these can actually be done solo, with only 2 requiring another person. So we'll get to that later. The first multiplayer trophy obtained is the Baguette Boy Band for completing your first co-op mission, and yes, this can be done solo. The next is No Man's Land, and this requires you complete all 7 Rift missions. This can only be done after the completion of Sequence 11 though, as Rift missions open up after you hop servers. This is really easy to do, it just takes till the end of the game to unlock. Alright, so we're back to multiplayer trophies with Share the Wealth. Now before we get into that, let's talk about this trophy, and more specifically about the multiplayer rewards in general. See, co-op missions, not counting heists, have 3 rewards and a certain amount of perk points. For a later trophy, you have to obtain every single skill, which requires you to get every single perk point in all the co-op missions. Half the points you get on completion. The other half you have to get by just finding them in the actual map during the mission. Use a guide, it'll save you time and sanity. Well, anyways, Share the Wealth does not have anything to do with the perk points, it does have to do with the equipment rewards. Each mission has 3 rewards, and you get 1 each time you complete the mission. So, complete the same mission 3 times, and the trophy will pop. Little more story. See, Robespierre is too visible a target to just go in and give the old Bayek banish to. Killing him now will just make him a martyr to the revolution and give Germain more power. So Elise has the genius idea to poison him at a massive ceremony in honor of his newfound civic religion, the cult of the Supreme Being. By the way, this is real, and I highly recommend you look it up because honestly I can't explain it in one video and it's kinda interesting in a weird way. Anyway, the poison is meant to befuddle his mind and make him lose his standing in the public eye by coming off as a rambling drunk man. His ramblings, along with the constant fear that the Reign of Terror brought, helped solidify the disgust and hatred for this man.
Let's go.
We have a quick little trophy to get before we deal with old Maxi. Patron of the Arts requires you to watch a play at the Café Théâtre, but I think it just means you have to watch anything in full that is on the stage. Alrighty folks, it's time we finish up the story. Robespierre has fallen out of favor with the revolutionaries, and they are now calling for his head. Germain has also seemingly abandoned him, but he also happens to know where Germain is, so we've got to find him. First, we scuttle our way through the property until we finally find Robespierre, where he just straight up refuses to give us Germain's whereabouts, loyalty and all that. But this is where Elise pulls my absolute favorite scene in the game.
Germain warned me about you. You're one of them, aren't you? An assassin.
Not anymore. Where's Germain? Elise.
We don't have much time. Where is Germain?
I will never talk.
Then right. The temple. I should have known. I hope you enjoy revolutionary justice, monsieur.
You can't tell me that wasn't badass as hell. And not only does she just toss the paper back at him, they just straight up leave him for the revolutionaries. Just, beautiful. We are in the final mission of the game. It is time to officially kill Germain. We head to the temple and find him skulking around the top of it. When we reach him, we are going to kill him, and then he brandishes the piece of Eden that we saw from the beginning of the game. It seems Germain found what he was looking for.
What the hell was that?
When we go in to give him the famed Ezio execution, he somehow just straight up teleports away. Or he was never there to begin with? Honestly, I'm not actually sure which it was, but now we gotta run all the way down off the fortress and head into the catacombs where he will finally, hopefully, meet his demise.
How? What?
We head down to the catacombs where we meet up with Elise, who states that Germain never passed her, but they happen to also be in front of a very suspicious door. So, only thing to do is enter and face the man himself. The door opens and Elise immediately Leroy Jenkins herself into the room, only to be met with lightning. Though, thankfully, she was able to dodge it. Alrighty, folks, it's battle time. The fight is a 3-round slugfest where Germain, every couple seconds, is able to figure out where you are and basically attack through things using his old special lightning stuff. On the third hit, though, which I almost goofed there, is a bright light of explosion with Arnaud and Germain being thrown back and Arnaud getting caught under some rubble. He tries to get out when good old Elise comes to save the day. Right? Right? See, remember how she is so absolutely hell-bent on Germain's death? Yeah. She apologizes, but says she has to go after him, otherwise he is going to get away, much to Arnaud's dismay.
I'm sorry.
Elise!
Arnaud is able to get himself free and he starts to rush Germain in an attempt to save Elise, but, well...
Elise! 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 Elise!
Elise is dead, and she died either from the shockwave, the lightning, or the smashing against the wall. Truly, any of those probably would have been instantly fatal. I really liked Elise. She is and was a fantastic character, and you hate to see a good character die. You know who I don't hate to see to die, though? Germain.
Bravo.
Germain's memories were a little less memorial and more them actually seeming to be able to talk to one another. The conversation itself is interesting, as Germain goes on about how he was seeing visions because he's a sage. Not that he actually knew what that meant. Now, a sage is someone who has a large amount of Isu DNA, keeping in mind that really means he's got about 1% Isu DNA in him. He talks about finding Gemini's vault, and allegedly, he now understood everything and how it was his job to rid the order of corruption. It's cool and all, but, I mean, when it comes to the overarching amount of Assassin's Creed antagonists, I've always found Germain to be just a little mid. Like, he's cool, I get it, but also... I don't know. Tell me what you think below. We talk with him a bit more, but in the end, he dies like the rest of them, bleeding on the ground. We pick up Elise's body and leave the vault, obtaining 2 more trophies. I won it all for finishing all the optional side objectives in every mission, and Curtain Call for finishing Sequence 12. We aren't quite done yet, though. We got a bit more cleanup to do, so let's get started. Our next multiplayer trophy is Merciful Killer. This simply requires you to subdue 10 enemies using non-lethal, so just choke them out. I didn't test if you could use non-lethal weapons, so that may also be a possibility. And Stay Down requires you to complete a ground execution. This is an ability that you actually have to unlock via the skill tree. To actually perform it though, you have to shoulder charge, knocking an enemy down, and then you'll hold the attack button, which will then actually do the ground execution. This next trophy is embarrassing how late I got it. Don't need it, simply has you throw 20 money bags on the floor. This is one of the first skills that you have the potential to unlock, and I just straight up chose not to do this until the end. Or even get it until the end, actually. So, remember how I was telling y'all about the skill points thing? Well, we're about to get the trophy, but I thought it best to show you what I meant when it came to obtaining the skill points in the multiplayer missions. You can see on the map the skill points insignia. There are X amount of them on each map, and usually you'll only see them on the map when you're within a couple meters of them. Using Eagle Vision can help find them quicker, but again, just use a guide. So anyways, when you've actually obtained every single skill point in the game, to include all the co-op missions, and unlocked all the skills, the trophy, I Got Skills, pops. Which leads very nicely into our next trophy. Once all skills are unlocked, it means all the trainings are unlocked, as they only open when the certain skill is unlocked. Well, when you complete all 19 trainings, you'll be awarded with the trophy Know-It-All. Visited once is a time suck, but as long as you have good enough gear, you'll be fine. The trophy unlocks after you complete every co-op mission and every heist mission. And before you get too concerned, yes, this can be done completely solo. Which is a good thing because the servers are not super active. Alright, it's time for the last 2 multiplayer trophies, and huge shout out and thanks to XPilot for putting up the insanity that was trying to get the multiplayers to work. Never Say Die is awarded when you revive another player, so again, big thanks to him for taking one for the team. And finally, the last multiplayer trophy, choreography. This is for doing 10 sync kills in multiplayer, which basically just means killing 2 people at the same time. I highly recommend you have some sort of voice chat going to make this easier. And once again, huge shout out and thanks to Xpilot for doing this with me. We are now on the last couple trophies, 2 of which are related to the collectathon, and 1 which is not. We're going to do that one first. An old internet meme is for rebuilding every one of the social clubs, but then also completing every single one of their missions, totaling around an extra 21 missions, give or take a few. Alrighty, let's talk collectathon, as these will go by quickly, but a little explanation should help make your time a bit easier. There are 2 main collectibles that you'll need to worry about, chests and cockades. Yes, I said cock. Let's all be adults here now. There are several other collectibles, but they are unnecessary for the platinum. There are also 4 different types of chests: white, blue, red, and yellow. For the trophy, you're only going to need to worry about the white and the red ones. Red meaning that they actually have to be lockpicked. White is not that. Much like the sync points in the co-op missions, you'll only be able to find the chests or cockades on the map when you are within a few meters of them, although Eagle Vision can't help. The alternative, and the one way that I would highly recommend, although it feels super scummy for Ubisoft to put it behind a small paywall, is to use Helix credits to buy the map that populates your main map with every chest and cockade location. Helix credits are obtained by either using real money or by completing certain events in-game, and it's relatively cheap, the map is, so by the end of the game you should just naturally have gotten enough Helix credits to get the map. Alright, with that out of the way, let's finish this up. Tricolor is obtained for collecting all 128 cockades in both Paris and Versailles. And curiosities popped when you open all 294 chests in Paris and Versailles. Seriously, Ubisoft? 294 chests? Good freaking lord. Ugh. And without further ado and no introduction necessary, we obtain the Platinum Trophy Master Assassin for completing Assassin's Creed Unity. Honestly, what a wildly interesting game. First, just a quick negative I had. I'm not sure if it was the 30 FPS or just how the animations worked, but combat felt really slow and unresponsive. In higher level missions, I found myself just using smoke bombs to pretty much not have to deal with blocking, dodging, or parrying because of how unresponsive it felt at times. The good, on the other hand, is that I really came to appreciate Arno as a character. When I first played Unity years ago, I was kind of miffed on him, but now, as a much older and wiser gamer, I really do appreciate his motives. If you can, I recommend you give this game a go, but make sure you've got something going on in the background if you go for the platinum, because, ooh, Nelly, that collectathon is brutal. Also, huge apologies for this video taking so long. Real life has gotten back into full swing, and you know how things can be. Anyways, with Unity complete, that leaves only 2 more Assassin's Creed games, Origins and Odyssey. Well, until Shadow drops, but we'll worry about that later. I can already tell you that the next one will be Origins. I also have several other games in the works, including the Mass Effect Legendary Edition and Borderlands 2, both of those being on the computer. Before I go, I am curious on your opinions though. I'm looking at games like Baldur's Gate 3, XCOM 2 modded, and Grim Dawn, but due to the RPG elements of those games, a normal video like this just wouldn't really work well. I thought about long-form, live, unscripted Let's Play format videos, but if it's something people aren't super interested in, then I don't necessarily want to waste y'all's time. There might be some other things I could do, but we'll see. It could also just be a second channel thing if I ever end up doing something like that. But just let me know what you think in the comments below. In any case, though, I hope you enjoyed this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We are getting super close to that 500 mark, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.